Okay, here's 2.0. I decided to do this one a little differently, and I'm gonna try to cut this. I'm noticing that there's some spots that aren't so regular, like I damaged them a little bit when I was doing something, so I'm gonna clean it up. Junie! Let me clean the bottom too first, because after things get altered, it's just always harder to clean them up. Hi, Lulu. Okay. Okay. Very gentle, because this is starting to slump inwards. So I keep my signature out of the middle when it's clearly a thin bottom. Okay, plop it down here, let the dog in, push the bottom down. Hold on. So now I've got it aligned so I can see where the thirds are. And I'm going to take my knife, and this one I'm gonna cut straight down towards the bottom. So right on the third, I'm gonna cut straight down. Okay, and right on the third, straight down. I love this about the Shimpo banding wheels, that they have the thirds marked off. And then right on the third, straight down. Okay, and then from there, I'm gonna slice it. I'm gonna pull this to the edge of the wheel so it's easier for me to, whoop, the bottom is so thin. Okay, I just have to slide it like that. So now I can kind of more easily get there and feel stable with my knife. And I'm going to try to keep my elbow out of the way, put my knife through, check and make sure I didn't cut through the bottom, and then I'll just keep it at that level and go all the way almost to the next one. I'll stop before I get there. I'm stopping like a finger's width before I get there. And here comes the next one. I'm gonna slice it across the bottom. Oh, this one needs to rotate so I can get to it. There we go. Okay, try to find my way back into that groove. Okay. Just keeping an eye on the line and stopping before I get there. I'm not sure how that part's gonna work out. Okay, and then these are just prototypes for me to figure out what the heck is going on with these pots. This is so sticky. Okay, trying to get it to rotate so I can get my knife in on this side without destroying the bottom. Okay, here we go. Knife in and across to almost there. Okay, now honestly, I have no idea how that's gonna work itself out. There's gonna be like a tall thing there and I might have to cut it. I'm just gonna spray this all down, in and out, so we have some plasticity. And then I'm gonna grab one and curl it kind of in towards the center. Okay, now I know this one's stable here, so I'm gonna grab it here and bring it in towards the center. And this one is stable here. I'm gonna pin my finger there and grab this here and take this in towards the center. So now we can see that there's a problem for sure. There's no wall. So that was not correct. But anyway, let's see if we can make it look interesting for now. So I'll go ahead and cut this at an angle, down. And at an angle, down. And at an angle, down. Okay. So now we have something. I don't know what this thing is. I'm gonna kind of play with it a little bit, but it's not what we were going for. Wham, wham. Because it doesn't have enough of a wall. You want this to still be a wall. Maybe there's a way for me to put it back in. Let me see here. I wouldn't want it there. I kind of want it here. Well, I don't want to be going through all of this in order to do this, but just to kind of try to figure out this form, this is what I'm doing. This wasn't meant to be like a amazingly finished product. It was meant to be like figuring out how to most easily make this triple tray. So let's just say that was not the right way. Wah, wah. And let's do 3.0. So I've got 3.0 over here. It's kind of another part of 2.0. And that was kind of using a bowl in the same way as we would cut a spiral chip and dip, but just doing it triple E. This one's the one I think has the most promise. Let's see. Let's assume this one's gonna make it. Take a little bit better care of it. A candy bowl. A candy bowl. Alright. Alright. Okay. So back to our triples. And I'm going to cut down at the angle. And I'll just mark the rims where I will start my cuts. Here. Here. And here. So now the tricky part for these is that it's not a flat bottom. So what's going to happen when I start rolling in? I have no idea. It's going to go down. Okay, let's try it again. This is a test. Not too attached to what happens here. So I bring it over to the edge. I'm going to cut it shallow and I want it to come down. I want it to end, let's say, about halfway down underneath this part. So I'm going to hold my finger here, start here. I want to start off shallow, so it's a continuation of this rim. And then swoop down to about there. Let's see. I mean, I don't know how this can possibly go down to the bottom, but maybe it can. Okay, let's just try one before we do all of them. All of that extra water out and see what happens when we do this. Okay. Possibly. Okay. Number 2. Starting here. Starting even and then swooping down, whoopsie, to about there. This one I went a little bit lower, I believe. Yeah, I went a little bit lower. And there. Okay. I think this one's a little bit promising. Okay. See if we can get it to go down there. I'm not sure still. It probably would be good for me to be looking at the picture, but I'm not. Okay. And then after this, I might just give up or ask somebody else to figure it out. One of my students asked me to figure this out. Okay. Okay, let me see here. And from here, nice easy angle, and then we swoop down to there. Okay. And bring it in here and curl this around. And so now I can see that I'm going to need to really find center for these 3 pieces to come together. Yeah, they should really come together in the very center of the bowl. Pressing this down so it actually becomes a wall. Okay, this one has most promise, I think. It's a very small bowl, so in a different shape, obviously it would be different. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 I like to bend these in for a more organic feel right there. Just a little, just a hair. Okay. Okay, so something like that. To me, it's kind of working. I mean, I don't think it's functional yet, but I can kind of see how that looks like it could be something. And then I guess figuring out what isn't working with this and how to correct that so it does actually make different compartments in a bowl. It's probably going to be about the shape of the bowl is my guess, the shape and the size. Always so much cleaning. Okay, kind of cool and organic. See if you can see that. All right, that was fun.